delighted to be joined at the Tenant Tax Summit by one of the most stalwart of supporters, Lord Flight. So it's absolutely wonderful that you were able to join us today.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your presentation here, and you were really, it was really a call to arms, wasn't it?
Well, it was. I mean, I'm not really a participant in the buy-to-let industry, but when it was announced last autumn, I thought this is crackpot, this is outrageous, it's retrospective, it's going to reduce supply, it's picking on small landlords who are our natural supporters and for some reason giving big ones an advantage. It's you know, what on earth is it all about? And the argument that buy-to-let is squeezing out owner-occupiers, I don't see at all, because there are different sorts of property that get invested in. But what I found at Westminster is that candidly most people haven't even been aware of it, and it's not. I'm talking of MPs now. It's not altogether surprising because there's a never-ending flow. But I think this wants to be a really well-organised campaign, get massive media coverage, get everyone writing to their local MP, and at the same time actually explaining to their MP what it's all about. And I might add there's a sort of devious bit to it in that I even thought originally it just meant that you only got 20% tax credit on charging up interest against rental, but it doesn't mean that at all. It means in a rather strange way that if you're already a 40% taxpayer, you don't get any interest relief at all, and you're about 40% worse off, and if you're a standard rate taxpayer, 60% of you are going to be pushed into a higher rate band. So it's a major fiscal attack. And you then add stamp duty land tax to that as well. And these are, natural Conservative supporters doing this largely to save up for their old age because it's been a better bet than pension saving.
Absolutely. And do you feel that ultimately it's going to be tenants who pay the price, because obviously costs are going to be passed on to tenants?
It will be tenants that pay the price as far as it's achievable, basically. Yes, of course. I mean, anyone and everyone endeavours to pass on their costs to the ultimate client. But I can see trouble. I can see tenants getting thrown out. I can see tenants not affording to pay the rent. I mean, the real, if it doesn't get changed in time, the real danger is that a sector that's been jolly useful, leaving people to do their own thing, is now being buggered up by government, and you'll find there's a real mess there if we're not careful. No. Excuse my language.
That's fine. Obviously, people here, you're talking to the industry stakeholders, yes. The ones that are in the know. Yeah. The issue we have is probably the 97% of landlords with 3 or less properties that this isn't even on their radar. Yeah. Now, this event is really to send out
a launch, and you need to get it in local papers, in national papers, you need to get it in local TV, radio, and there really needs to be a mass campaign which is partly about awareness, but is also a campaign to get it changed. And as I said, one of the positives of the fact that it's being done in steps is that with a bit of luck we might get it killed before those steps start to bite.
So you're quite optimistic about the judicial review?
I really support it. I don't know is the answer, because ultimately our system is that government can do anything if it can get the legislation through. So I don't know, but it certainly is a very good point of principle, and even if they don't succeed, they'll raise awareness of it.
Now, just to finish really, you actually wrote to George Osborne on this matter. Yes, what sort of reply did you get?
Well, I talked about the reply, which was pretty unhelpful, and clearly a civil servant had drafted the letter, but he ignored my starting point that a lot of buy-to-let investment is alternative to pension saving, but basically provisioning for old age, and it should be looked at in that context, and where the tax deal for pensions is miles better. Secondly, I made all the other points, and he really rather feebly said, well, the point of doing this is to make a more level playing field of different areas of investment. Well, I think that rather missed the point, but fundamentally they're still hooked on the argument that buy-to-let investors are pricing out, squeezing out young owner-occupier buyers with no evidence to produce.
They didn't even do an impact statement.
Correct, at all. So I think, again, in terms of the campaign to get rid of it, we actually need to get some more evidence. Which, I mean, all you have to do is a survey of who's, in one area, who's bought what.
So just to finish, you've got the landlord community watching us.
Yes.
What message would you send out to them? Because now is not a time for apathy or complacency. We have got to unite and really have our voice heard.
Correct, and you need all to lobby all your MPs to get the whole thing really highlighted in the media and the reasons why it's wrong. And the biggest single reason is that we'll end up with not enough housing units if we're not careful in 3 years' time.
Well, Lord Flight, may I say it's been such a pleasure to have you here today, have your contribution, and thank you so much for taking part in our interview. You've been absolutely awesome.
Pleasure, no problem.